a serious issue. And the issue is in our communities. A lot of times things happen in our communities and they don't get addressed. We have a lot of people in our community, good people, business people, community activists, just everyday working folk who work hard every day to realize their dream. Some dreams are big, some not so big, but it's their dream. And we have to let people be allowed to realize their dreams. It's not the dream of just MLK, but it's the dream of what they say this country can be. And it's the American dream. And that's everybody has the space, they have the care and the support, and they have the resources to be able to do the things that they can do to build up a legacy. So, starting tonight, we're going to be tackling difficult issues in our community. And tonight is my special guest, Stephanie Hall Furman, community leader, mother, wife, and someone who took a dream, built it up from scratch, and saw enough in this community to where she want to share a part of what she knows and her experiences and her resources. And I feel like in these situations, we should support people like that. But she had that dream stolen. And the questions tonight from everybody has been asking is not just what happened, but why and what is the impact? So join us tonight on Bold Conversations. I'm your host, Walter Perry. Good evening.
Good evening, Walter. Thank you for having me. I am extremely grateful for the opportunity to be able to share my story because at the end of the day, you and I had a conversation. This isn't just about me, but it's about the other women that I can empower.
Yes. And it's important to not only celebrate our women, but uplift our black women because we know that in America right now, there are so many challenges that face us as a people, so many people of color. And so we just want to say to you tonight that we love you as a community and we're glad that you're here. So welcome.
Thank you.
We're going to start from the beginning of who you are. A lot of people don't know who you are. A lot of people don't even know about what's going on or what didn't happen. Let's start there. Let's start at the beginning. Who you are, where you come from, uh, and how you started building this dream. What gave you that spark to want to do something?
I think I'll start with always wanting to have a hometown. Being born somewhere, but also being raised there and being like, I'm from. And so when people ask me where I'm from, it used to really bring me down and depress me in the sense of where I'm an Army brat. I was born in Nebraska, but I wasn't raised there. And so I moved around. I lived in different cities, different countries, and I don't have that home place where I was born here and raised here, and all my friends I remember from elementary, middle, and high school. That wasn't my experience. So for me, home, I tell people, is everywhere and nowhere as an Army brat. But I didn't realize until I was an adult the experience that I gained being a military brat and how well rounded I was as an individual.
Were you raised by both parents?
Yes,
Okay.
up until middle school, and then my mom and dad got divorced, and then it was just my mom from middle school through high school.
So, what was your experience? What were some of the places that you went throughout your life?
I would probably have to say my adult experience
Right.
and my child experience was
Okay.
Hawaii. We
Oh.
lived in Hawaii
Oh,
for
wow.
a few years. And I remember being 5, 6, going to the beach for Christmas. I remember those memories very vividly. I remember visiting Germany, or we may have lived in Germany, but I think I was too young to really, really remember that. But my mom has like a lot of trinkets from Germany, so she still has the shrunk to this day. That thing has to be almost 50 years old at this point.
So, traveling for you was a great experience. You got to see many
Oh, yeah.
cultures. Okay, so
It was normal. It was a normal part of life for me because I didn't know that you didn't travel. That's the only life that I knew was traveling, so I thought everybody traveled.
no, everybody didn't travel.
I found out later.
That's interesting. You should say that because by you being Do you consider yourself African American, black, or because you know there's a lot of labels out here?
Mm-hmm.
But being that you are in a very people call it a unique situation, but I thought it was pretty normal growing up. You have both parents, military brats.
Mm-hmm.
Being from San Antonio, I saw that all the time. So,
Mm-hmm. Military City.
exactly, Military City, USA. So, having that experience as a young black girl and having both parents, even though they separated, they still laid a foundation for you.
Mm-hmm.
What was that foundation that they laid for you?
So my mom was always big in. It's very interesting that they were married. That she still instilled in me like you don't depend on a man, you're independent.
Oh wow.
And so that was still very much something that she said to me all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like you do your own. You ride on your own coattails. You have work ethic. You have integrity. You go out and get what you want. You don't depend on a man to do it. Now, I'm not saying that my mom depended on my dad because I don't think that was the case. I think they worked together,
Mm-hmm.
but I never saw like there was a dependency one on the other. I just
Right.
saw a marriage, right? I just saw my parents. I'm young. I don't know what I'm supposed to be seeing. And
Mm-hmm.
so for me, the foundation was like two people raising children together.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't say that my childhood was all that great because I didn't have a good relationship with my dad.
Why not?
And well, later I found out when I was 15 that I was adopted.
Okay.
And so
By both parents?
by just my dad.
Okay, by just
So
your
my
dad.
mom's my biological mom, but my dad, whom I call my dad, who raised me,
Mm-hmm.
he is my adopted dad.
Okay.
But I didn't find that out until I was 15. And so there had always been like this barrier that to him and I,
Mm-hmm.
where I felt like I wanted to be a daddy's girl so bad.
Mm-hmm.
But I just felt like there was something always blocking me from getting there. And I didn't realize what it was. But once they told me when I was 15 that he wasn't my biological father and that he had adopted me, then it all kind of made sense why there was this barrier there between us.
Was he affectionate towards you?
Not really, no.
Did he have other children?
So my brother's 4 years younger than me, and that's his biological father. So we share.
How was the
their relationship is great. Well, it was great then. I don't know what it is now as an adult, but growing up, their relationship was great. Like he would come and pick him up, take him to baseball games, basketball games, football games, hang out with him. But it seemed like it was a chore to hang out with me.
Okay, but he was in the army or your mom was in the army?
My dad.
Your dad was in the army. So, in spite of that, he provided an experience and a way of life for you and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Do you think that the army had something to do with the way that he was so not emotional with you?
I mean, it could be. I never really dug really deep into it
Mm-hmm.
because I'll always respect him and love him, and that's why he gets the title of dad
Mm-hmm.
because he raised another man's child.
Right.
He manned up. He didn't have to adopt me. He did. He manned up. He adopted me. He gave me his last name, and so that's why my name is Hall Furman and not just my married last name.
Okay.
And so he'll always get that respect and that love of being the man that financially took care of me and was there as a father. Like when he needed to show up in the dad moments, he was there in the dad moments. He just wasn't affectionate, and I didn't have that daddy's girl relationship that I wanted, but he was still the man that was present.
Have you ever met your real father?
Mm-hmm.
How was that experience?
I didn't give him a real chance when I met him for the first time.
How old were you?
15.
Okay, so
When I
okay.
met him for the first time.
All right.
And I was cold. I am my mother's child, for sure. And if you've ever met Carolyn Oliver,
Okay.
used to be Carolyn Hall,
Okay.
she is not somebody you play with.
Okay.
So I'm definitely her child. So when I met him, I didn't give him a chance to be a father.
Were you angry?
I was angry. I was 15. I'm young. I don't know no better. So I called him names. I called him sperm donor. I'm like, why are you even trying to be here? Like, I already got a dad. I don't need you. So I wasn't a kind child to him when I first met him. Time went on. I'm over 40 now. And, like, he's tried to come back sporadically here and there to build relationship and get to know me. I do a better job now, but I made a decision probably 5 or 6 years ago that I was done parenting up. Once my kids reached a certain age, I was the one that called them the both dads.
Mm-hmm.
I was the one that called them. I was the one that reached out to them on birthdays and holidays, and so not so much my biological father because we didn't really have a relationship, but with my other dad, and I just got to a point where I was like, you two are supposed to be the parents. Like you're supposed to be the ones that reach out to me, that reach out to your grandchildren. Like you should be making that effort,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't see you making that effort.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of I cut my dad off,
Right
and I
now,
haven't yeah, and I haven't spoken to him in a while. He doesn't call me or text me. And
what about your
then
stepdad?
my biological dad,
I mean, your so you cut off your stepdad.
my dad, my adopted dad.
Oh, you adopted that.
Yeah, I said
Okay.
I was done parenting up.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I stopped calling and texting, and when I don't call and text, he doesn't call and text.
What do you mean by parenting up? What does that mean?
So parenting up means that your parents don't reach out to you on a regular, you reach out to them on a regular. I only had to do that with the dads. I never had to do that with my mom. My mom was the one, she's always checking on me. My mom is like the mom of the century in the sense of like, I'm her daughter, she still sees me as her baby, and is always trying to make sure that I'm protected and like she's looking out for me. So I've never had to parent up with her. But the other ones, like I've had to reach out, I've had to call, I've
Mm-hmm.
had to tell them that this is, going on with the grandkids. But with her, I don't have to tell her anything. I
Mm-hmm.
send her a basketball schedule, and she's at every game. Like I don't have to keep reminding her, "Hey, don't forget his games on Sunday." So
Are
that's
they
what I mean by parenting up.
are the dads like vocal like that? Do they have that type of character to where they're always calling? Are they very like sociable?
I actually don't know what they do in their personal lives.
You don't?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's something interesting, and I'm really sorry that that dynamic is not more, uh, was solid because when we grew up, family reunions, you had aunts and uncles and cousins houses you can go to, not so much today. Um, did your upbringing shape the way that you saw education? How was your education growing up as far as school?
So I didn't really care for school growing up, but I knew it was.
Really?
Oh yes, I hated school, but I knew it was a necessary evil.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom told me that you are going to get your education. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's not an option.
What you didn't
So
like about school?
I don't know. I just wasn't a like. It just didn't really appeal to me. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
like going, and I don't. You know what? I don't know if I can pinpoint like what I didn't like about it. I just remember not liking it.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't the work because I could clearly do the work.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not really sure why I didn't really care for school like
Did you
that.
feel like the teachers didn't care about you?
I knew a lot of the teachers didn't care about us, but I don't know if that's the reason why I didn't like school.
Mm, that's interesting. So, besides you not liking school, what did you like about school?
Friends, of course,
Of course,
like all the
friends.
kids.
Right, right, exactly. Did you like lunch?
No, I didn't
Oh,
actually.
okay. Because
Yeah,
I
there
ate
was
I ate
no.
lunch a lot. I
Um,
never missed lunch.
Yeah, well, we ate lunch, but
Right.
it wasn't like my favorite time of the day.
Okay.
But it was definitely hanging out with my friends, and then I was on the track team, so I
Mm-hmm.
loved my track team.
Okay.
And then I also did the step team, and
Mm-hmm.
so the step team we would go and visit local colleges and learn new steps and bring them back.
And this
So
was
that
in
was fun.
this was in Maryland.
No, this was in Nebraska.
In
Because I ended up
Nebraska.
going
Okay.
back
Oh,
my high school year.
okay. So, what city in Nebraska? Omaha.
Omaha, Lincoln.
All right. That's what's up.
Yeah, we started out when we finally moved back. We started out in Omaha, and then we ended up moving to Lincoln.
It's a lot of corn up there.
It is a lot of fun.
I had to say that. But anyway, yeah. So your education, take me to high school, going into college.
Yeah, so high school, even though I didn't like school, high school was fun. I told you I was on the track team, I was on the step team, two of my favorite things to do. And my freshman year, I called myself trying to hang out with all the kids who were cool. So we're skipping school.
Kids who were cool, what were they doing?
We hanging out downtown.
Yeah.
We're not at school.
Slackers.
Oh, 100% slackers. We did not spend any time in school. Was not in school.
Okay.
And so I remember towards the end of my ninth grade year, the counselor called my mom in, and she was like, "Look, if your daughter does not start coming to school, she is not going to graduate, and she's going to be here a second year senior."
Yeah.
And there was a second year senior that was on campus that year. I was in ninth grade,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember looking at him and being like, "I'm not trying to be here another year.
Exactly.
So what do I have to do in order to make sure I graduate on time?" And she was like, well, you got to make up these other two classes over the summer. So I had to make up two classes over the summer. But then that gave me an idea.
So you were a C student?
In my ninth grade year, I was.
Ninth
But then
grade?
after that,
Okay,
no.
yeah.
Oh, no, your girl picked it up.
All right.
I said, oh, we getting up out of here.
Exactly. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Continue.
because I was very capable.
Right.
I just wanted to go hang out and be cool with the other kids.
Right.
So my summer of my ninth grade year, I took summer school classes and aced those, and I was like, oh man, I could take summer school every summer.
Mm-hmm.
So 10th grade on, I never skipped school. I didn't miss a day of school. Wasn't no sick days. I end up getting all A's my 10th grade year. I went to summer school again the summer of my 10th to 11th grade. I did all my classes for 11th grade, went to summer school again my 11th to 12th grade year,
Okay.
and then graduated early.
Did you have any mentors during that time? Did you have people that you could call, you can talk to when things got bad? Did you work during that time? Did you have a summer job? Did you have jobs while you went to school
Yeah,
as a teenager?
When I went to school.
What kind of jobs you had?
I worked at Burger King for a little while, but I know I worked at a daycare for the longest. So I probably was at the daycare from my 9th through my 12th grade year.
Okay.
Burger King was kind of hit and miss, but I know I stayed at the daycare for the majority of my time.
So how was it as a young person working, going to school, slacking off, obviously, but you were a good person. You just wasn't interested. How was it being in the working world? When you got your money as a young person, were you responsible, or were you the type of young person who took that money and just, were there somebody that was around you that said, Stephanie, you got your check, let's go open up a bank account. Let's go get you school clothes. Let me show you how to budget and save. Did you have people like that in your life?
My mom worked really hard. She was working and going to school, so she was barely home. So I was the one that was taking care of my little brother.
Mm-hmm.
So when I went to work and got off and I made money, it was typically I would give him lunch money, or I would buy him something at the corner store. I would buy myself something, or if I needed something for school supplies, whatever I may have needed, I would buy it for myself. But no, I didn't have a bank account at the time, but I wasn't splurging money. I wasn't going out and doing dumb stuff with it. It was little stuff that I needed here and there, but I also wasn't making a lot of money either. But I didn't know that at the time.
Right. So this is high school or college? Okay, so what was your college experience? Because what I'm doing is laying the foundation of how the things that you went through ultimately shaped your idea to form a school, to found a school. And we're going to get to that shortly. But I want to know about your college experience. Who was the one that influenced you to go to college? Who talked to you about college? Who helped you with financial aid? Who was there during those times?
I remember my mom doing the FAFSA application, and so that's how I got the Pell Grant.
Okay.
And I actually don't remember a lot of people talking about college like that.
Okay.
But we lit Nebraska and Lincoln. It was kind of like a little college town.
I thought it was black people there.
There is.
Cause this oh, you saw on Belly. It was that black guy with the banana. He came out the barbershop. I was like, oh, that's the type of time they on in Nebraska. Okay, all right, that's the type of time y'all on. You know the guy, Belly.
Yeah.
What was his name?
I don't remember.
That's the type of time y'all on in Nebraska. Okay.
Yeah. So with the college being right in the heart of Lincoln, because Lincoln wasn't that big, a lot of us knew we were going to college, but we just didn't know what that looked like.
Okay.
So we didn't. I guess counselors are supposed to talk to you about that type of stuff.
Right.
But I don't remember my counselor talking to me about college. I just remember saying, if this child don't get it together in 9th grade, she's gonna be a second-year senior. And I remember not wanting to be that girl. But because I had worked in daycares from 9th through 12th grade, I knew that I wanted to open up my own daycare.
You wanted to do something.
That's what I was going
You had goals already.
Yes.
So let me ask you this: for somebody who didn't like education, didn't like school, I ain't gonna say didn't like education, didn't like going to school, play hooky. What brought you to want to found a school? Because somebody who doesn't want to go to school, why would you want to try to build a school? Like, like I'm interested in that. Like, it's usually like that. The thing that we hate the most is the thing we run to faster too. So
You're lying.
I'm very interested in. Okay, you didn't like education, but you majored in education. You have a master's in education. What made you go for master's in education for somebody who didn't like school?
I think it's always been in me, but I never knew what it was. So when I initially went to college, I went to community college in Lincoln,
Okay.
and I knew I wanted to open up a daycare. So I was going to get my early childhood development associate's degree. And when I graduated from high school, they told me that if I followed the rules, did what I was supposed to, right? This is ninth grade, don't skip no more school, do what you're supposed to, follow the rules, graduate, and you're going to be successful. And I did that and then graduated and went to this community college, ended up failing this class and not having any guidance. I failed the class and then re-registered for the same class that I didn't get any assistance for the first time.
Okay.
So if I failed it the first time,
It wasn't accounting, was it? Because I flunked that 3 times. I had trouble with that class 3 times. It wasn't accounting, was it?
no.
Okay, just making sure.
But it was some type of computer math class,
Okay.
and so I took it for the second time back to back. And I failed it the first time, so I was going to fail it the second time, or at least I didn't know I was going to fail it the second time.
Yeah.
Then my behind should have never took it.
Right.
And so I took this class the second time and failed out, and then they took my Pell Grant from me. And so now I'm like, what am I going to do now? Because now I can't open my daycare.
Yeah.
What are my options?
Yeah.
So then the options became, what was I? An army brat.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, looks like the military, here I come, because they're going to pay for my school.
Right.
So I only joined the military, not to serve my country. Let's not get twisted.
It's business.
I was not trying to serve you. Your girl was not trying to serve her country.
Well,
Your girl was trying to get her college paid for. Okay?
right. Exactly. And then it provides you a sense of security.
Absolutely.
So you got your master's in the military.
Out when I got out.
When you
So,
got out, you got your bachelor's in there.
yes. So long
Okay.
story short is I joined the military. I only signed up for 4 years because you only needed to do the minimum to get the GI Bill. So I signed up for 4 years. I was going to get out, and I started taking classes. And my supervision let me take classes early coming into the military. And it's time to get out. And then 9/11 happens. And then I had to stay in for a whole nother year and some change because they weren't letting people out.
Yeah, that was a crazy time. Uh, what we're gonna do right now? We're gonna take a short break, and we're gonna come back, and we're gonna talk a little bit more about your education, and then we're gonna get into how you laid the foundation for your dream. This is Bold Conversations with Walter Perry. We'll be right back. We got to pay some bills. I want my special guest, Stephanie Hall Furman. Furman, right?
Yes.
Okay, I was finna, don't. It sounds like I'm saying Foreman, but it's really Furman. But we'll be right back.
You're right. It is. It's through our tears that we build things that are so beautiful, and as Black women, don't don't feel like we're worth the things that we build, and it's so sad. And that's a part of the reason why I'm speaking up today and not being silent, because what I built was beautiful. Was it perfect? Hell no, it wasn't perfect. Am I perfect? Hell no, I'm not perfect. But what I was building wasn't about me. Not from the moment, not from the thought that I had it, to the time that someone said I was unworthy to still be there. You're right.
Welcome back to Bold Conversations with Walter Perry. I'm your host. We have our special guest tonight, Stephanie Hall Furman, and we're talking about her life and her legacy. When she just right before we went to the break, she was talking about her journey through college, and for me, I was wondering like, okay, she's told a story about not liking education, not liking school, but everything is leading her towards education, towards things dealing with school. And what I want to know is what's going on, like what's pulling you towards this way. Like, what are the things that you are seeing in your life and seeing in the community, and what are the things that are shaping you now? Now that you had this experience as a military brat, you've been to college, and now it's time for you to go into the world and show what you can do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a I'm gonna ask you something that we talked about. You told me God told you 3 times not to get a school. Is that right? Am I right?
I turned it down 3 times.
Oh yeah, you turned it down 3 times.
Yes.
You had 3 opportunities to
Walk away.
walk away,
Yes.
but on the fourth time, you chose to do it. Normally, when God tells us to do something, we listen, right? Normally, when God says no the first time, He said no, but He said no 3 times. So, and I'm not saying this as somebody who is saying like, man, you stupid. It's more like, man, what drove you to say, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and lay down the foundation for this, for founding a school.
Mm-hmm.
What tell us that process.
So I'm going to back up a little bit to college. I
Okay.
didn't have a traditional college experience.
Okay.
So once I filled out of community college and joined the military, I joined the military, got out after 9/11, got married, had kids. I still had not had my bachelor's degree.
Okay.
So once I got married, started having children, and we were traveling because my ex-husband at the time was Air Force, so now I'm traveling again. And I go back to school. And so I tell people I'm a 12-year, it took me 12 years to get my bachelor's degree.
Okay.
Because on and off, I went to school, stopped, went to school, stopped, went to school, stopped. And a lot of it is just not having a clear purpose.
Right.
And I think I didn't like school because I didn't have a clear purpose of like what I wanted to do and how I wanted to do it. Because once I got a clear purpose and I went to get my master's degree, I knocked that out with no problem.
So with your bachelor's, you was just taking random classes.
Yes.
That's how I was doing it at first. I was taking random classes until, like you said, I got a clear purpose. Okay, what do you want to major, and like how much longer do you want to be here? Because you only have so much financial aid.
Correct.
Right. Exactly.
Correct.
So
Yeah, and a GI
continue.
Bill is going to cover my bachelor's degree, but it's not going to cover much more after that if I use it all up and wasting all this time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I have small children, and I'm going to school, and I want to give up because I'm like, this is too hard. Like, it's too much to do all of this and go to school and try to focus and get this degree. So it leads up to how I get here, right? Because traditionally, when you're 19, 20, 21, you're going to college, HBCU or PWI, doesn't matter, and you're living this college experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have that college experience. I had a life experience.
Mm-hmm.
I had children. I was a wife. We had bills. There was things that we had to do. I had responsibility. So my college experience was life experience.
Right. So you just pretty much went to class, went to work, and then went home.
Yes.
Okay.
So get my bachelor's degree, which I'm super grateful that I finished because I was so close to giving up.
Right.
It was hard.
Right. It
Like,
was.
It was hard.
Right. Yeah.
And then I told myself, I'm never going back for my master's. Never.
That
You
was-
will never get me to go back
Right.
and do this again. This is dumb. I hate school. I don't even know how we got to do all this. You just need work experience. I have work experience.
Right.
So then fast forward, I know that my marriage is about to end. And I do not want to be the typical black mom or the stereotypical black mom, single black mom, 3 boys, on assistance. I said, and I don't get me wrong, I do not knock assistance. If you need it, you go get your assistance.
Right.
Girl.
Right.
I knew that I did not want to be her.
Right.
I did not want assistance. I was not doing that to myself or my kids.
Right.
That's when I had motivation and passion, and I had a purpose for what I wanted to do.
That's when you found your purpose, right then and there.
But I always loved people.
Were you going through your divorce while you were going to school?
Yes.
How hard was it to concentrate on your studies while going through something like that?
It was not hard to concentrate because I used it as motivation.
Okay.
And that's why I'm saying once you have your purpose.
Was it online or was you going to class?
So I wanted to go in class, but they shut that program down and I had to go
Online.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you still maintain the level of excellence in school in spite of what was going on.
Correct.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know that's really hard to do. You know, because being a college student, I'm a college student right now, and during my bachelor's, I went through something similar where I was going through a breakup, and I had to maintain my grades. And it was like the last 2 semesters, it was hard. So I know how hard it can be to concentrate, and having that college experience. I know about that too, but the college experience is something that I wish you can truly experience because it's one of those things where you make lifelong connections. You also get resources to the schools that you would normally pay for out of pocket. So you just get afforded some type of the type of resources that you need to really excel. So I'm really proud of you that you stuck with what you was doing. So you did the bachelor's degree, you got into the master's program. Why education? Why did you pick education out of all the other degrees you could have got?
So I always knew that I loved people, and I always want to help people.
Right.
But I didn't know what my help looked like. And I remember the first time that I knew how I wanted to help somebody. I was sitting in a college math class, and my college professor was, and I was going to class at this point. So this is getting my bachelor's, because with my bachelor's, I did go to class, but I just wasn't on campus. And I remember sitting in this class, and I had to work really hard in this math class because math is, we always say, oh, I'm not good at math, and we put that in our own heads, right? And so I'm in this class, and I'm like, man, like this class is so hard. It's so hard. But my professor was brilliant. But here's why I didn't like her. She didn't know how to take her genius mentality and break it down for us laymen's. Like, she didn't know how to do that.
Okay.
So she would get on the board and be like, all you got to do is this. All you got to do is this. All you got to do is this. And the rest of us in class are like,
that's not that ain't it.
that don't make no sense
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah, that's
So
not
we
it.
got to go home and do extra work and extra tutoring because she can't break it down for us. That was the moment in which I knew I want to teach because I don't want to ever make kids feel like how she's making us feel.
So let's talk about the school you founded. What tell us that process. How you finally got it going, you got it up and running, what that looked like. Tell us the whole layout, how it looked.
So I went through a program called BES at the time.
BES.
Yes. And then it was called Building Excellent Schools. They've rebranded now, so now they're called Build, Excel, Sustain.
Where are they out of?
They're based out of, oh my goodness, I can see the city.
If you can't remember, don't worry.
Coast.
On the East Coast, don't worry about it. I can Google it.
It's going to come back to my mind in just a second. But I went through that program, so that was the program I was saying no to.
Okay.
So when I told you I said no 3 times, they have recruiters that go out and they try to recruit high-performing leaders to come and be a part of this program to found schools. And I remember her name was Charlotte, sweet lady. She reached out to me a couple times, and I was like, no, Charlotte, I don't think so. Like, I just don't think I'd be a good fit for the program. Like, I don't know if I want to start a school. I love being in schools. I don't know if I want to found one.
Were you employed with them at the time they asked?
No,
Okay.
I was employed with Idea Public Schools at the time.
Okay, Ideal. Okay.
And she reached out a couple times, and she was sweet. She wasn't aggressive, but she's doing her job as a recruiter. Well, I just want to make sure, like, you sure you don't want to apply? You sure don't want to, like, talk to these people, and then maybe they can help you see, like, the program's not as bad as you think it might be.
Why do you think she came to you with that idea?
I think I was referred to her by someone else, but I don't remember who it was.
Okay, so they saw something in you, obviously, and they felt like you was a good fit. So tell us a little bit more about that process on how you actually got it going.
Yeah, so once you're in the program, you start writing your charter application and visiting schools across the country. So I got to visit 45 plus 50 schools across the country.
They pay for that?
Yes,
Oh.
in the program.
Oh, wow. Okay, go ahead.
And then once you write your charter application, there's a certain deadline for the state of Texas. Every state has their own, like, timelines that you follow to submit your application to get your school up. So for us, our charter applications were due January 4th, I remember, 2019. And I even have pictures on social media of me, like, holding up the first copy that I had to go turn in that day on January 4th. So you turn in your copies of your charter application. Ours happen to be about 350 to 320 something pages. You turn that in, and there's a process where they read through your application.
What? Can you tell us a little bit about what's in the application? What are they asking for?
Mission, vision, location. What's the data for the schools in your area? The data for your kids in your area. What kind of programming are you going to do? What type of teachers are you going to hire? What's going to be like your budget? You have to do a 5-year budget. It's really long. And
Right.
you have to reach out to other schools as well.
Okay. So, why did you pick that area? The area that you picked at the time.
So initially, I wanted to locate on the east side, but the east side was already saturated with charter schools. So there was 2 to 3.
Three ideas. Three ideas.
2 to 3, idea public schools that were in that area, and then I think another school had just located over there as well, and so I just knew that I didn't want to be in a saturated area because I wanted to provide quality, but I don't want to compete with other people because we're all doing the same work.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna bash you for doing the same work that I'm doing. I'm just gonna locate somewhere else, a little bit separate from you. So I end up going what I call east of the east side, which is the Sunrise and Foster and 10 area,
Right.
Where Sunrise is, the Sunrise housing community. And when I started to do research on the Sunrise housing community, I started to find that it was very impoverished, that people really were looking for opportunities, and that there was very much a need on that Foster Road area. And so that's when that became my baby.
Yeah. That area over there has went through a lot of changes. I remember when it was just mostly white people over there. I remember when Sunrise was just built. My aunt was living there in the 80s. And to see so many changes when it went from there to Gunrise.
Yeah, I remember that name too.
Exactly. So you know that area has faced a lot of changes and a lot of challenges. To see you go over there is not only commendable, is very thankful that you decided to invest in that area. Um, Tell us a little bit more about why that area and how that process actually came to fruition as far as the process to actually get it there and what type of resources were there.
Initially, when we first started with Sunrise, which I've also heard the name Gunrise throughout my research into that area, we found that when I first started writing the charter application, we had 3 failing elementary schools in that area, and then 1 failing middle school. And so that's the A through F rating that the Texas Education Agency does.
Yeah.
And so as I started to dig a little bit more, I started to see that housing developments were coming up in that area. And the older housing developments that are there, the Woodlake and the Sunrise developments, those people had been in those homes for a little bit of time now. And a lot of them were not getting the opportunities that they weren't aware of. So I won't say that weren't there. I don't think they were aware of them. Right? The only districts, or not the only district, the district that they were a part of at the time is Judson. So Judson covers that Kirby, Woodlake, Sunrise area, and up. But where we were located, Judson covers that area. And sports is big, but academics wasn't. And so we started to dig into Judson a little bit more and their scores and how kids were scoring, and black kids more specifically were scoring the lowest at every school that we have researched.
Oh, wow.
In our charter application.
1 second. Yo, Mike. We got to get something. We got to get your mic turned up. Or we got to switch out your mic in the next break. But being that of course, black students, what else did you notice in that area besides the obvious? What was something that people was overlooking in that area? One, we know that over the years it's been tackled with gun violence and gang violence. Also, it's a very diverse community. Although you have a lot of African Americans, there's also a lot of military. There's also a lot of white people in the area. There's also a lot of Hispanics. Yeah, so it's a very diverse area. Even Wagner High School is very diverse. How many students does it hold?
Wagner is 2,400, I believe.
2,400. So you would get probably the the leftovers. I ain't gonna say leftovers, but
Overflow.
the overflow. Yeah, exactly. So that's pretty much what y'all served as, like getting the overflow of kids who
Well,
may.
not necessarily the overflow. We want it to be an option. So
Okay.
we want it to be an alternative to Wagner. So if you wanted to be able to play sports and get a great educational programming, we wanted you to be able to come to us at SA Prep. So if you walk to Wagner, you can walk to us because we're walking distance. From
Exactly.
Wagner.
Were y'all in partnership with Wagner?
No, I tried. I tried to reach out to the principal several times. I did have a meeting with the superintendent, Dr. Ball, at the time, and my conversation with her was great. But what happened at the aftermath of that, of people saying that I lied about my conversation with her and that she never supported me, and I was like, well, I didn't say she supported me. I said our conversation was great, and she said that I can do the work that you're going to do, but I know that charters and districts just don't get along. And I'm like, yes, but that's why I'm here. I'm here to have the conversation so we can stop saying that about each other and actually work together. So that didn't work out. I had high hopes that I could just go in and talk to these superintendents and be like, hey, public charter school, district, we can work together. We service the same kids, but it's really political and it doesn't work that way.
So what challenges did you face when you first started the charter school? What were some of the biggest challenges that you initially faced, and did you bring these challenges up to people that were supposed to support you during this time, and what was their reaction?
So there was lots of challenges when you're founding a business in general. Money is always an issue. At the time, we didn't have a building in a location. So I was using a commercial realtor to find land, buildings, anything to just get us started. And then once you start that process, you have to have another development corporation that comes in and helps support you, either to outfit or retrofit your building that you find or build from the ground up. So we needed to find that. Hiring teachers to a brand new building in a school that people had never heard of before. Recruiting families to a brand new building they'd never heard of before.
Is this what you mean by the founding board? Is this what they supposed to do? What are the what
Yes,
process?
the founding board should have helped with that process, but they didn't because we were all new to the process.
But that's what they do. That's what they
That's what they
supposed.
should do,
That's
yes.
what they. So everything you just said, that's what a founding board's supposed to
Should
do.
help.
They should help to
Yes,
do.
yes,
Okay,
yes.
all right.
Because the leader, the founder, is going to do the majority of the work.
Okay.
The board is there to support and to oversee.
Okay.
So they have the responsibility of oversight, and then they have this responsibility of support.
So you were seen as the founder, like the
Yes.
face.
I am the founder, not seen as the founder.
Okay. I'm sorry. You were the founder. You were the face. You were the one. Everything fell on you.
Yes.
So it's really important to have the right support and have people who are all the way in, both feet in.
Yes.
Did you feel like everybody had both feet in initially?
I did initially, yes. Yes.
So where do you think the disconnect came? Like as far as just getting things off the ground. I know there was a lot that you had to consider. There was a lot that was on your shoulders. Did you feel like, when you look back, I got the right team behind me? But before you get into that, I want you to think about that. I want you to really think about that, because I know that even though it's been a while, you're still healing. And so I want to make sure I have empathy towards your feelings, and I don't say anything that's going to trigger you to the point to where, I want to be empathetic towards you. So we're going to take a break.
Okay.
But things are going to get a little bit more difficult when we come back. So
That's fine.
this is Bold Conversations with Walter Perry. We're going to be back, and it's going to get good. We got to pay some bills.
You know what I'm saying? Like something new. I got like nail this in like one take, yo. Great Americans. Maybe like for real. Time is wasting, but I got plenty of time. But never enough time. Friday, my day, I'm on the highway, 745 in the 745, black kid, windows tint, evident, King Shaheed, roll like a president, 10-car line, all street vets, and we got carbines. Y'all better respect if you're talking in line. Y'all better get wet, so you best use your mind instead of popping the tech. Architect with my intellect, surgical flow. Show my seeds how it go, so they can grow. Keep it real to myself, so they can know what they got inside their mind is worth more than dough.
Stop all this talk. Teach him a lesson.
There's gonna be some stuff you're gonna see that's gonna make it hard to smell.
You know what I'm saying? Like something new. I got like notice in like one take, yo. Great Americans. Maybe like for real. Time is wasting, but you know, I got plenty of time. But never enough time. You know? Friday, my day. I'm on the highway, 745 in the 745. Black kid, windows tint, evident King Shaheed, roll like a president. 10-car line, all street vets, and we got carbines. Y'all better respect if you're talking in line. Y'all better get wet, so you best use your mind instead of popping the tech. Architect with my intellect, surgical flow. Show my seeds how it go, so they can grow. Keep it real to myself, so they can know what they got inside their mind is worth more than dough.
Stop all this talk. Teach him a lesson.
There's gonna be some stuff you're gonna see that's gonna make it hard to smell.
You know what I'm saying? Like something new. I got like notice in like one take, yo. Great Americans. Maybe like for real. Time is wasting, but you know, I got plenty of time. But never enough time. You know? Friday, my day. I'm on the highway, 745 in the 745. Black kid, windows tint, evident King Shaheed, roll like a president. 10-car line, all street vets, and we got carbines. Y'all better respect if you're talking in line. Y'all better get wet, so you best use your mind instead of popping the tech. Architect with my intellect, surgical flow. Show my seeds how it go, so they can grow. Keep it real to myself, so they can know what they got inside their mind is worth more than dough.
Stop all this talk. Teach him a lesson.
There's gonna be some stuff you're gonna see that's gonna make it hard to smell.
You know what I'm saying? Like something new. I got like notice in like one take, yo. Great Americans. Maybe like for real. Time is wasting, but you know, I got plenty of time. But never enough time. You know? Friday, my day. I'm on the highway, 745 in the 745. Black kid, windows tint, evident King Shaheed, roll like a president. 10-car line, all street vets, and we got carbines. Y'all better respect if you're talking in line. Y'all better get wet, so you best use your mind instead of popping the tech. Architect with my intellect, surgical flow. Show my seeds how it go, so they can grow. Keep it real to myself, so they can know what they got inside their mind is worth more than dough.
Stop all this talk. Teach him a lesson.
There's gonna be some stuff you're gonna see that's gonna make it hard to smell.
You know what I'm saying? Like something new. I got like notice in like one take, yo. Great Americans. Maybe like for real. Time is wasting, but you know, I got plenty of time. But never enough time. You know? Friday, my day. I'm on the highway, 745 in the 745. Black kid, windows tint, evident King Shaheed, roll like a president. 10-car line, all street vets, and we got carbines. Y'all better respect if you're talking in line. Y'all better get wet, so you.
Back to Bold Conversations. I'm your host, Walter Perry, with my special guest, Stephanie Hall Furman. And we're going to get right into it. I'm not even finna play around no more. You know, we talked a little bit about your life, but we want to know what happened, man. What happened? I was watching the news. I was hearing all kind of stuff. I read the newspapers, and the things that I was reading, I was saying, nah, I just this got to be more to the story. And for me, I didn't like it because it felt like there was an attack on another black woman who was just trying to realize her dream. So first, before we get into it, take me to why you decided to go ahead and do this. Why? Just tell us, just tell audience like why I went ahead and just started this school and why I believe in these kids so much, and then we're gonna get into it. Go ahead.
My life experience has been that I haven't had the greatest of opportunities. And when presented with an opportunity to affect change, affect the community, to pour into my own four children, or three at the time, four now, and be able to give kids what I didn't get or what I couldn't give myself.
Right.
I didn't jump at the opportunity, as you know, but I eased into it. And so when the opportunity presented itself, I worked really hard for it. And I founded that school to be able to do all of the things that I felt schools didn't do right, and then implement all of the things that I knew that schools could do right.
What did you feel like schools wasn't getting right at this?
Schools don't do a good job of protecting children, of loving them, of showing them that we care for them before we educate them, of providing safe places for them, of not just come into this building, follow my rules, do what I say do, but truly educating a child. And when we really think about what true education is, it's not pumping things into people. It's drawing things out of them that are already within them. And so I wanted to provide a different educational experience for Black and brown children, one where they felt seen, heard, valued, safe, loved, and they could come to a building and we didn't just tear them down, but we built them up.
So tell us the reaction from the community. Were they in full support? Like what did that look like?
Yeah, so the community support is really tough when you're new to the area, because I lived in San Antonio, but I lived on the northwest side. So coming over to the far east side, near Foster Road, and communicating and talking with people.
They want to know what school you went to, who your people are.
Yep.
Okay, all right.
And so I had to gain their trust.
Right.
It was a matter of spending time with them, and it was a lot of time. And I want to remind you that I founded the school, even though we were authorized in 2019, we didn't open our doors till 2020.
During COVID?
Yes. So
How?
a lot of our recruitment happened in that January to July 2020 timeframe. COVID hit in March, so now no one wants to leave their house.
Right.
No one wants to talk to you face to face. People don't want to interact because they're afraid. But what I had to do is I had to help people not be afraid, put masks on, put gloves on, and we had to go out into the community and still be a blessing to people. We gave free clothes, we gave toiletries, we gave groceries, we gave free food. Like whatever we could do to be a support during that pandemic, that's what we did. So the idea was to be a community school where we loved and we educated your children, but we also supported you, the community. And so it was a lot of that footwork where we were going out and people seeing us on the streets, seeing us on the sidewalk, seeing us at the grocery store, seeing us at Walmart.
That was all of y'all, including the board as well?
No, the board wasn't there.
The board didn't go?
No, they showed up onesie, twosie things, but it waned off, no.
Monday, Tuesday, what were they doing on Monday, Tuesday?
No, a onesie, twosie.
Oh, onesie, Tuesday. What were they doing when they showed up?
They would table if they came out to a table, but other than that,
Table?
they weren't there. Like tabling.
Anyway, so you were going out into the community, getting the word out about the school.
Yes.
It was just you, or was it parents who?
It was our leadership team at the time.
Okay,
So we
okay.
had 4 or 5 people
Okay.
that were employed at the time. And so it was us mainly. And then we asked teachers that we had hired that weren't going to start until August. We would ask them to come volunteer their time.
Okay.
And we got volunteers to come as well.
Okay, and then what was the reception to that? How long were y'all out there? Because this is COVID now. This is mass. A lot of people don't want to move around. A lot of people don't want to open their doors. Matter of fact, COVID-19 has greatly shaped the way that people look at society now, the workplace, and all
Yep.
sorts of things. So, tell us some of the challenges that you had with getting people on board, as far as like getting kids to come to the school.
To be honest with you, I think because we spent a lot of time in the community during COVID, we started our August 2020 year with 215 kids.
That's good.
So that's really great for a startup school.
That's real good.
Schools typically start anywhere between 75 to 100 kids when they're like in their launch year. Outside of like your bigger schools, like your Ideas and your Great Hearts, they start with hundreds of kids. But like a no name just popped up, started, coming and helping you in the community, that starting with 215 kids was a blessing.
So, being that you guys are in that proximity, there are public schools not too far. Candlewood is not that far.
Paschal,
Yeah, and
Woodlake Elementary.
Woodlake. Yeah. So, what was the reception from those public schools? Because you are a charter.
Correct.
That's a charter.
Correct.
Ideas a charter. They got this new charter. It's like a really colorful charter. But it seems like these charters are strategically placed in neighborhoods. What was the reception from those public schools? Did you get any backlash? Anybody come to you? Did they try to work with you and say, "Hey, this kid here may be a little bit challenging. Do you think you can do something with them?"
No.
Did any community agencies come to offer wraparound services at the school? What kind of wraparound services did y'all have?
Yeah, year one, we had a couple organizations, because it was still COVID during that time, come out. So we had constant organizations coming out for the free testing. We had community organizations come out to do free mammograms, physicals, testing, immunizations. That all started really strong. By the time we got into year two, we had to reach out a little bit more for services, and we used a lot of independent or freelance organizations so that we could support them. So we have our Monday enrichments, and we would partner or pay for services to come out to do the Monday enrichment. For our wraparound services, we had the Boardroom Project. Is an all girls project.
Oh, that's I heard the boardroom. Yeah, that's
Where
a great.
they come and they take girls to like courtrooms, and they go and they sit, see what it's like to be on a board. So we had them. We had the Kappas didn't do a service, but the Kappas always came and supported with anything that we needed help with. So they came up to help us move classrooms if that's what we needed. They greeted kids on the first day of school for the first 3 years, helped tie ties. Actually, I think they came this year too. So it might have been the first 4 years. They come help the kids tie their ties. Then last year, the Alpha Project came and started doing college workshops with the kids once a month. And we've had, what other organizations? I know my friend is going to help me with these Jumpstart Theater.
Jumpstart Theater.
Jumpstart Theater was out. We had a local woman from the community that came and volunteered her time to teach kids how to sew.
Okay,
she was phenomenal.
I need to meet her.
We loved her.
Yeah, I need her to help me show me how to sew a button.
Oh yes.
How important do you? How important do you think community collaborations impact the school and impact the rest of the community? How important do you think those are?
That's significant.
Very significant.
It's
Explain
very
why.
Significant, especially in low income communities where it's not just about educating a child, but it is about transforming them so that they change their lives, so the next generation behind them is better, right? And so providing the resources that they may not have in their community or at their house is very important to them and to their growth. It shows them that you love them. It shows them that you care about them. It shows them that they can do better, be better, and they want that for themselves. It also just is a blessing to other people. Like, what are you doing on the face of the earth if you're not here to be a blessing to other people?
That's true. So let me just go right to it. Where did the disconnect come in? Because I'm hearing all the great things. I mean, somebody would hear about what you're doing, you saying like, "Wow, man, you got it going on." But when you go through the layers and you see the turmoil, let's just go back to like there has to be a starting point. Where do you feel like the disconnect came in with your supposedly support? When did you realize your support wasn't supporting no more?
I think there's 2 points in time. The first point in time was right after our charter got approved, and the board went from being a founding board to a governing board.
What's that?
And so for the state of Texas, you have to have a founding board in place in order for them to approve your charter application to begin with. So these are individuals who are supporting you. They're working with you in the work. They're trying to help you establish mission, vision, like the direction that the school is going in. And they're really just there to be a huge proponent of support, using their networks, using their resources to help in any way that they can. That's the founding board. Then they move from being founding to governing, and then as a governing board, now they have oversight.
Okay.
And so they still use their resources, they still use their networks, but now they do it in a way that supports the actual operation of the school and not the founding of the school.
Okay.
So that's a difference. Sometimes it's the same people.
One set it up,
Sometimes-
one sets it up, and the other one gets it going.
Yes.
Okay. All
And
right.
typically it's the same group of people, but sometimes you can have a founding board that rolls off, and then you have a new governing board that comes on.
Is it wise to have the same group of people?
Hindsight, no.
Why?
I think the energy and the excitement of what you're doing as a founding board gets lost in translation when they convert over to the governing board, because the governing board's job is very different from a founding board's job. A founding board works alongside the leader. So we're like colleagues. And so we work together in the work. As soon as it shifts to governing, the board now becomes the overseer of the leader. And they are the only entity that can hire and fire the leader. So then their shift happens, and I'm not really sure what happens in the minds of the shift from going from founding to governing, but there's a shift. And so when I was having board meetings, it was really stressful. It was really stressful. And I did not experience that type of stress with them when they were a founding board. And
What kind of
so
stress?
It was very pointed questions of accusal. It was believing what other people were saying about
At
me.
the founding level?
At the governing.
At the governing
Yeah,
level.
when they had
Okay.
switched over.
All
So this
right.
is at the beginning. So this
Okay.
is year one.
Okay.
It was accusatory questioning. And so instead of being like, hey, Stephanie, what are you guys going to be using for your math curriculum? It'd be questions like, so I heard you using X for math curriculum, and I don't think that that's a good curriculum. Or I heard that you could find a better one. And it's
So
like,
there was no suggestions of like, hey, I see you doing this, but I've talked to some people, they may have this.
No, it was always accusatory. And when it first happened, I don't think that I really noticed it. I just remember just being stressed going to board meetings all the time. And it wasn't until I went to another leader who was also a founder of a school. And he was telling me, Stephanie, they're probably frustrated because you're not giving them enough information. So here's a template that you can use to give them more information, because maybe they feel like you're just trying to tell them what to do. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I'll take that feedback. Maybe I am just trying to tell them what to do. Let me be a little bit more clear in what I'm giving to them.
What kind of information are you required to give to them?
It's a lot of information you're required to give.
But just
it's
on
budgetary
just,
information.
okay, budgets.
It's academic information.
Okay.
It's demographic information.
So it's like a board meeting where you giving like they're reviewing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. So that's like a regular board meeting.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So you the executive director at the time?
I was, yes.
Executive director. Okay. So you didn't feel protected. You didn't feel supported.
No.
How did you feel?
I felt like I was always wrong. Like it didn't matter what I did. When I brought it to them, it was always going to be something. Like it's not good enough. It's not, it's not written enough. It's not, you didn't print it on the right paper. You didn't put it in the right font. And I'm being facetious when I say like paper and font, but it was
Right.
Every time I walked into a meeting, I felt like they were always looking at me with, you're not good enough. Like, and so why we don't know why you keep giving us this information. It was really, really stressful. And my team started to see it and they started to recognize it. They started showing up to board meetings. They started helping me with the paperwork. They would show up and sit down and support me, and they would sit in the audience and they would smile at me and they would encourage me because they could just see like how much of a toll it was taking on me. And so fast forward, I end up getting a governance coach and an executive coach.
What is a governance coach?
A governance coach is someone who helps you and your board with like the dynamics of the relationship between you and the board.
Is it like a mediator?
It can be a mediator, but I met with her monthly. I met with her once a month, and she would give me tips, tools, role play with me to have a conversation with the board chair to be able to fix the dynamics of the board. And so she saw the dynamics of the board, and she saw how hard I was working to fix it. We got to a point where I was having one-on-one lunches with them. That was hard to schedule because I would have my assistant try to schedule a one-on-one lunch with them. Some of them never made it to lunch. Some of them never even like responded to her email response for the lunch date.
They were invited?
Yes.
Okay.
We had training meetings. We had, the regular board meetings. And it just got to a point where it didn't matter how much information I gave them. It didn't matter how hard I worked. It didn't matter how many seminars I went to, how many books I read, how many documents I created, how many turnarounds I had on the campus, how many successes I had.
They were always frustrated with you.
Yes. Every time I met with them, they were always disappointed about something.
Did they disrespect you to your face?
Yes.
Did they talk crazy to you?
Yes.
Would you like to share some of the stuff that they said?
So one meeting, and I'm going to drop names because I don't like to talk about people without naming the name, because if I can't say the name to people and I can't say it to his face, then I shouldn't say it at all. So I'm in a meeting, and Dr. Milton Harris and I'm talking about the budget for the next year. And in this budget meeting, when you anybody who creates budgets knows that you create budgets based on history and historical data. So you have to look at the last few years of your data to see where you spent money, like where you have, what organizations you've gotten money from, so that you can build out the budget for the next year. And you also use your projections from your enrollment. So we created this budget based on projections of the enrollment from the last few years, and also the way we've spent money the last few years. So when the budget gets read, he gets upset because he says, and then he starts questioning me and my staff, because remember, my staff's in my meetings now.
He's on the board?
Yes.
Okay.
So out loud, he's questioning us, and he's like, do you believe we can get to 300 kids? And we're all like, it's not about what we believe. It's about what the historical data says. No, I want to know, do you all believe that you can get to 300 kids? And we're like, yes, we believe.
Why that number?
Because we weren't really growing like we needed to be growing. We were struggling with enrollment, and that wasn't anything that I ever lied about or hid. Like that was my Achilles heel, something that we were working on. And so we needed to be at least 250 kids, tracking towards 300 in order for us to continue to be a viable school, especially with the land and the building that we had, which is debt that we have.
So y'all was leasing the land?
Yes.
Okay.
The land. The land.
Lease to buy or just leasing?
Yes, lease to buy. Mm-hmm.
All right. So 300 kids. Y'all were, at this time he was yelling, going off the hinges. How many kids were y'all at this time?
100. I think at the time we were around 170, maybe 175.
Who's in charge of marketing?
That would probably be me.
But
We didn't have a marketing team.
But you're executive director. You're You're the person, the liaison going into the community.
Correct.
You're the fundraiser. You're the baker and the candlestick maker. The jack of all trades at the school.
Correct.
Where was your support?
Correct.
What was your support?
Non-existent. The
But-
only support I had was the support of my leadership team, but they all worked for me, and they all were I had them working 10, 12 jobs just to get things done.
You and your
Because
staff?
can't- Yes.
Yeah.
You can't hire additional people for things if you don't have the money for it. So my staff knew, okay, Stephanie, we trust you, and we know that we can get to this number. So I'm okay with taking on this job and this job and this job. To get until we get to that point where we can now hire someone to do that. So they were very much okay with that. But they also knew that we didn't have the support of the board. They went, like I told you, they went to all the board meetings. And I'm sure if you asked any one of them, and I can see one on the comments right now, she was there, and they experienced him asking us and like literally fussing at us. Do y'all believe that we could get to 300? And all my staff was like, yes.
He was yelling.
Yes,
Was he?
We believe.
He was talking like that.
Yes,
That sounds aggressive.
it was.
Why does somebody who is supposed to support you talking to you like you're his child? Did you feel like you were in a child, like a parental, like all the parents are mad at you because you didn't clean your room type situation? And how did it make you feel seeing this man yelling at you like that?
It was demeaning. It was almost unbelievable.
Really?
And I remember sitting in the chair, and I picked up we have a notebook that we use for board meetings, and I remember putting my head down, and I remember just doodling in that notebook, just doodling. And I was like,
What were your emotions while you were doing
I
it?
was trying to calm down.
You were trying to calm down.
And so I was trying not to go there with him. So I just remember doodling and doodling and doodling in this notebook. And I kept my head down for a really long time. And then finally, after a few minutes of this going on, of him going off about, you know, if our enrollment doesn't pick up, then, you know, we're just going to have to look into maybe getting a new leader or having new leadership or look into our leadership. And at that moment, I was like,
He said this in
wow.
front of everybody.
Yes. I was like, wow, did he just call, like did he just come for me?
Did he ever pull
He
you
just
to the
came
side?
for my job.
Did he ever pull you to the side and say, "Hey, you look, I know I said some things in there, but
No.
we really..."
No.
Has he ever pulled you to the side and just privately counseled you and said, "Hey,
No.
you know," has
No.
he mentored you?
No. And he's one of the people, what makes it even worse, he's one of the individuals that I had a one-on, he actually answered the email. Him and I had a one-on-one lunch date at Chili's. I named my
Chili's?
concerns. Yes.
right.
Because I was paying for it. You know.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
School, educational
yeah.
budget.
He definitely chillies. Go ahead.
Well, it's just close to the school, so I can get to lunch and come back. I named my concerns with him. He named his concerns with me. And he did tell me that enrollment was a concern. And I laid out to him what we were doing to fix it. Mm-hmm. And what I thought we had left that meeting
On the same page.
on good terms.
Right.
And I actually left, and I remember thinking, wow, okay, I think these one-on-one lunches are going to work. I think they're really going to change and turn around the dynamic of the relationship that I have with the board. 2 weeks later was the meeting that he fussed and yelled and threatened my job.
Okay, so are there any other instances where you felt like you were being scolded, backed into a corner, disrespected, unappreciated, and not supported?
Oh, okay. So instance number 2. I think at this point the board had already decided like what they were conspiring to do.
Wow.
So I get this email message from Douglas Ray, who's also on the board, and he's like, "Hey Stephanie, can you send me all your contracts?" And then he asked for all of our contracts and then all of the staff employment agreements. And I'm like, okay. So I reached out to the attorney. I'm like, is it okay for me to give him employment? And they were like, yes, it's fine. So I told him, I was like, hey, like I have a lot going on this week because it was during summer professional development where our teachers come in and we do PD with them.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, there's a lot going on. So give me a week to give this information to you. He claps back to me and says, I can't believe it's going to take you that long to get something back to me that should take only a few minutes to do.
That's unprofessional.
And it sounds like you're trying to hide something and create these documents to give to me.
So he just accused you of being shady. Now, okay. This is what I'm tripping on. These are supposedly the people that helped you at the beginning to get this school off the ground, get it up and running. We haven't got to the resources yet.
From them?
Yeah.
They didn't provide any.
So why was there so much contention from them, non-contributors financially? Why were they butting heads with the person who's pretty much the glue? Why? What's...
Do you want to hear my
There's an
assumption?
underlying thing going on. Somebody, they don't contribute financially to the school.
Mm-hmm.
They don't go into the community and market the school. But they want the school.
Mm-hmm.
They went with you to help you set it up.
Mm-hmm.
Then, once they got it set up,
Once I got it set up.
once you got it set up, they were supposed to walk side by side with you,
Mm-hmm.
but yet they was hovering over you, it seems,
Mm-hmm.
like a bad step-parent.
Correct.
That is intimidating. It's demeaning.
Mm-hmm.
And for somebody like you, I want to know, what were your thoughts when you realized that these people are not to be trusted? This is not good. These it's something else going on. So I mean, I want you to speak your mind now. You know what I'm saying? I know, you know, that they've tried to intimidate you in different ways. They've tried different tactics to send messages to you and different messages.
Yeah.
And you've told me numerous times you will not be afraid. You will not be what's the word I'm looking for? You'll not be scared.
No,
You
I will
ain't
not be
scared.
bullied by them.
You will not be bullied. And in this case, with somebody standing up in the meeting talking to you like that, that can be interpreted as a bully. So let's get more into this bullying that's going on. When did you know that, like, oh yeah, they got something else going on here? It's something else. I need to watch myself.
Unfortunately, and not until it was too late. I didn't notice until June or July of 2023, and they took the school over in August, so it was too late by the time I really realized that something else was happening.
Wait, hold on. Took the school over?
Mm-hmm.
What is your school? How did they take your school?
So I am the founder of San
Right.
Antonio Prep, and everything that SA Prep was up until August was because of my vision. Everything that kids felt when they came into the building, the love, the care, the acceptance, the seen, valued and heard, was because of my vision. But at the end of the day, I don't own the school.
The school is for the
Because
community.
It's for the community.
Right.
Because it is a public charter school. So it operates a lot like a public district school.
Right.
And so, yes, will my name forever be on the papers as founder? 100%.
Mm-hmm.
If you look it up, I will always and forever be the founder of this school. It just will no longer live in my legacy of what I founded it to be, because now that they've taken over, they are doing a whole new
Taking
thing.
over? What do you mean taking over?
So when they placed me on administrative leave in August of 2023,
Did you get severance pay?
no. when they placed me on administrative leave, and they placed me on paid administrative leave, right? So I want to make sure I give them their credit for the paid administrative leave. The board chair, which is Antoine Xavier Tosin, became the interim superintendent, the unpaid interim superintendent. He wanted to make sure that was clear. He kept telling people, we're not trying to fire her. We're really trying to do a fair investigation, and I don't want the school. I'm not an educator. You can look all this up. It's on YouTube. As Monique says, don't take my word for it. Go look it up yourself. So he becomes the unpaid interim superintendent from August until January. During that time, he's quote unquote running the school with the principal, Shwanda Onwachi, Dr. Shwanda Onwachi. And I made her principal.
She from Africa?
Yes, she's part African and Jamaican. And she was the assistant principal for a couple of years, and then I made her the principal going into this year. And so she literally just became principal, and then they let me go. So I didn't get a chance to continue to coach and develop her the way that I wanted to.
Okay.
And now she's under the care and supervision of Xavier Tosin.
Okay.
So in January 3rd of this year, I was terminated based on the
Officially
terminated.
No severance pay.
No severance pay, no NDA, no anything. And just told, okay, so we thank you for your service. And, please leave now at this point.
Wait a minute, hold on. But your kids went there.
Yes, but I pulled my kids out at the end of August.
But wasn't your husband helping you volunteer?
For 4 years, yes.
What was his reaction? Like how did, from your perspective, because I know it was you going through it, but there's people that love you, there's people that support you. Your husband loves you and supports you. He's here today, and, but he told me himself, this is all about my wife. Whatever she needs, whatever, I got to do to support her, I'm going to be there. I commend him because I'm a husband and I support my wife the same way. And I would really hate to see my wife in a situation where, these men feel like they did something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And for you, how hard was that seeing your husband keep his cool and, keep the ship going while everything was being sorted out?
Yeah. So it's just as difficult for him as it was for me, because anyone listening to this, if you are married, you know what it's like to work where your spouse works, right? Even if you don't get a paycheck from there. If your spouse works somewhere and you take them lunch, you take them flowers, you go up and visit, you get to know all the coworkers, you've seen them out, you say hi when you see them in the grocery store. Like, you develop your own relationships and bonds with people when you support what your spouse is doing, which is what my husband did since day one. Before we even had a building, him and I were dating, and he was there. And so he's been there since the beginning. And so he got a chance to talk to all the staff members. He brought food on countless occasions. He brought donuts probably once a week to school. He talked to the staff. He took care of them. He volunteered, coached for basketball since year one. He's been volunteering his time and coaching. And my husband has not received a dime from that school.
Oh, wow.
Not a dime, but did not have a problem coming up there. He's at every event. Anytime I was at the school, he was at the school.
How do the charter bylaws protect y'all from stuff like that? How do you handle that going through the bylaws? Did y'all have bylaws?
Yes, we did.
Who helped y'all set the bylaws up?
So every charter school and every district has an attorney's office. And so our attorney's office was Schulman Lopez Hoffer Adelstein. And they were the school's attorneys. Them and Texas Public Charter School Association, TPCSA, they together helped us to draft our policies, our bylaws, all of our official documents. And then they also each year help us to keep them updated.
How does that differ from public schools? Charters, what's the difference between just maybe two or three things that separate the difference between having a charter school and a public school?
The biggest differences between the three is our autonomy to be able to create and do with our budgets what we want to do, right? Mm-hmm. So in a traditional district, the budget is set, and that's what all the schools have to abide by, is like the set budget, right? But in a public charter school, if I decide I want to have a mentoring program class on my campus, I can have that. So right. I can do what I want with my budget as a public charter school. The next is the autonomy to hire the staff that we want to hire. As a public charter school, we have the authority to hire uncertified teachers who meet the minimum requirement of having a bachelor's degree. Okay. And so you can get some really phenomenal people in your building who aren't Texas teacher certified, but have a bachelor's degree in finance, or they can teach math, have a bachelor's degree in English, and they can teach English. Those are phenomenal people to hire, because districts won't hire them, but we can. So that's the second difference that we have, that we can hire our own people. And then the third biggest difference is like just the programming. Traditional districts, once they have their programming set, so like at Southwest ISD, and I know in a couple other ISDs, they have really great cosmetology programs, barber programs, mechanic programs, and that's their programming. We can change up our programming or have the type of programming that looks different from traditional schools.
Wasn't y'all the only charter school that had the creative
music program?
Yeah, y'all had the music program, right?
Yeah, San Antonio Sound Garden.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. So you brought a lot of things to that area. What do you think the impact was, negative and positive, from that bad decision of the board, basically making that decision and stealing? I'm going to call it stealing.
I call it stealing.
Yeah, I call it stealing. What do you think is the impact, negative and positive, financially? Because now we can look at the business aspect of it. One, they didn't give you a severance.
Correct.
Two, what's the impact from your family? How does this impact your family financially? And how does it impact you as a professional who have to earn a living?
Yeah.
How does this impact everything?
So the blessing is that my husband makes enough money to take care of our family.
Amen.
That's the blessing.
Amen.
Right? But the downside is that my last paycheck was in November. My last full paycheck was in November. Mm-hmm. And then they called this meeting, and they always call their meetings 3 days before the meeting and then let you know. So it's not like I have months to know that when the next meeting is going to come up. I don't. Mm-hmm. So I have 3 days before I have to go in for this January 3rd meeting. Mm-hmm. I go into the January 3rd meeting, and I am terminated January 3rd, which means that I technically don't get a paycheck for the month of January. Mm-hmm. But they do give me a 1-day paycheck of like $500 at the end of January. And so now I have to apply for unemployment. So the story that tells me, as someone who founded this school, is that you didn't even respect me enough to say, you know what, Stephanie, you founded this school. We know the part that we played and didn't play in the founding and running of this school.
Right.
All of the things that you put in, we have no idea what you put into this school, because we don't show up to the day-to-day.
Right.
Let's at least give her something for her time, her pain, her effort, her energy, her love, for everything that she's done in this community.
That white man got it at the other charter school.
Don't they always?
Yeah, he got it.
Don't they always?
Yeah. What's that charter school where they kicked that man out?
Great Hearts?
Great Hearts. He got a severance, and he's walking around real good. He probably going to get another job. And see, that's another thing, too, is that we don't always get a second chance at these kind of things. And then the impact on your reputation, just your whole well-being. Nobody's called you. Has anybody called you just to check up on you mentally, emotionally? Anybody ask you, hey, man, you good? You know, hey, I know some places where you can go work, or, you know, just something. Has the community, have people that you fought for, people that you've invested into, people that you've looked out for. Have they even called you and just said, hey, Stephanie, I'm just thinking about you, baby girl? Have they did that for you? Has anybody done that for you? And why not? Because you've done it for so many people. Why do you think that is? Because We was getting ready to play a clip by Monique. We probably gonna play it later about how when black women speak about issues that affect them and things that happen to them, nobody wants to believe. Nobody wants to believe you. Same with us as black men. Depending on what it is, we get to talking. They don't want to listen to us. They don't want to believe us. Did you feel like you wasn't being heard, even though you was shouting to the top of the heavens, like, look, something's wrong?
Yeah.
Did you feel like you were not being heard?
Absolutely. I didn't feel like I was heard. And there was a meeting that I had with my governance coach who acted as a mediator between me and Xavier, the board chair at the time. And this was in July. And I went to her and I said, I have to have this conversation with him, but I don't trust them enough to have it without a mediator that can hear both sides of this conversation.
And how did that turn out?
And so I basically laid out to him, I said, I don't feel safe with the board. I feel very uncomfortable. Milton threatened my job in the last board meeting, which was not okay. And he didn't even know like how budgets were developed. I was like, you always take a position of neutrality, and that is also harming.
Why do you think men don't want to listen to women in positions like that? Why do you think men got a hard problem taking your advice or taking directive from a woman? You got the education. You've been around. You've seen things.
And I've proven myself.
You've proven yourself. And you got out there. You put your name on the paper and you said, I'm willing to take on all the risks.
Yes.
So why isn't this man respecting you?
Ooh, I wish I could answer that question.
Why do you think, because we hear it all the time, why do you think men in positions like that, why do you think they're so hard on women, especially black women? Why do you think they're so hard on women in those positions? Because he wouldn't dare talk to me like that.
Or my husband.
No, they wouldn't.
No, they would never. They wouldn't dare.
Why do you think that? Why do you think? Why do you feel like that? Why do you feel like he was a little extra hard on you, and not anybody else? Because you were the only woman in there. You was around all these men, so I commend you for being around all these men doing things that people would probably think that you couldn't do. You probably was outshining them or something. But why do you think that hostility was pointed towards you?
The assumption
that
I am going to make is intimidation.
Intimidation?
I assume that the reason why I was treated the way that I was treated was because how dare this little black girl who doesn't even have a home, how dare she come in here and say she's going to change education for brown and black kids? How dare she come in here talking about she is going to create a different educational experience for them? How dare she come in and say she can do this, and then when they tried it, they couldn't?
And you think by them seeing you, this little black girl from Nebraska, go in there and pull off the impossible, because that's what you did by forming a school, going into the community, laying the foundation, building a legacy. That is the impossible during COVID.
Correct.
During COVID, that is the impossible. So my question is not just about them, but everybody out here. Why don't we support people like Stephanie, who put themselves out there with a dream to just give children a better life, a better education, and to improve a community that's already struggling? Why can't we be there for women like her? Or just anybody who has a dream. And so for you, I want you to talk more about it, because there's a lot that's being unsaid. Tell our viewers tonight how you feel, and what is your what's some words of advice you can give to black women and young black girls out here who dare to do the impossible, who dare to go against standards that may be set or placed upon them. This is your time.
I think people see us and they may see that we're beautiful. They may see that we're articulate. They may see that we're smart, that we're hard workers. But I think at the end of the day, we're not men.
Right.
We're not a man. We'll never be a man. And I think that for some men, and not all of you, because not you, not my husband, like y'all have never treated me or that I know of any other woman other than as a human being, which is what we are, right? And so I think sometimes when men see us, they see we're inferior. They see that we'll never be able to rise to their level. And when we do, and then we go beyond it, then they're intimidated, then they're angry, then they're upset, then they're trying to tear us down. And it's like, but we're the single greatest power and entity that builds a black man up. We're the ones that stand by you when you lost your job, or when your business didn't work out, or when you didn't have any money, or when you had to pay child support and didn't have no money to pay. Like we're her.
Yeah. Or when the school is struggling and you're still there,
Yes.
working long hours,
That's
walking in
us.
the community. Yeah.
That's us supporting you.
Exactly.
Why can't we get that same respect and support in return?
But then they also fire a Hispanic lady,
So let's talk about they fired a white man.
a white man.
They fired 2 Hispanic women, and then me.
Oh yeah, they got you last. They bold firing that white man. So let's get down to this last point, because this is the point I want to hammer home. They adopted the school. I heard that term. What goes into adopting a school? What is that? Tell me about that process.
Yeah,
And
so-
when did it happen, actually?
So a couple months into
Who adopted the school too?
the 100 Black Men of San Antonio adopted the school. And a few months prior to the adoption, I was having conversations with Patrick Gray, who's the president of the 100 Black Men of San Antonio. And him and I would have conversations about the different programs that they would do on campus, like what were our needs and what were the school's needs, how could they support us. And in those conversations, he was like, well, I have to take it to the board, and the board has to vote on it in order for us to adopt the school to provide these services and mentorship. And I'm like, okay, great. Like, let me know what the board says. I'm really excited to have, Black male figures on campus for both our young men and our young women. And so the beginning of August was our last meeting, and he said, okay, I have a meeting on August 12th. August 12th is the board meeting, and that's when we're going to do our vote. And I'm like, okay, so I'll wait to hear from you after August 12th. So August 12th happens, and the vote happens to adopt SA Prep. And then at that point, Dr. Milton Harris is the one that's now keeping up with me to let me know the paperwork should be coming for you to sign, for us to adopt you all so that it's official.
What all comes with an adoption?
Money comes with an adoption.
So there was no
mentorship
money at
support.
first, but all of a sudden there's money there.
Well, Dr. Harris, he probably was the only board member that did a good job of doing his yearly giving, because board members are also supposed to give financially. He was the only one that was
So he did
consistent.
give.
Yes.
Okay, all right. I mean, two things can exist at the same time.
They can.
Yeah. You
They
can be this and then still give. Yeah, exactly.
So he did use his organization to help him give his side, which is fine because we didn't have any stipulations on how you gave from your contribution. It just needed to be given.
So he's still part of 100?
Yes, he's the executive director.
Really? And he was on the school board?
Yes.
And 100 adopted that school?
Yeah, so they adopted the school on the 12th, and then I got placed on administrative leave on the 24th.
And the week prior, on the 18th, I have weekly and weekly or bi-weekly check-ins with the board chair. And because I didn't feel safe with them, it ended up being 2 of them in the meeting at once instead of 1. So it couldn't be he say, she say.
So they was ganging up on you.
Well, I asked for multiple people.
Okay, you
so
asked.
I was going to bring a person from my staff, and then he was going to bring another board member. But in this particular day, the person I wanted to bring wasn't at work, and so it ended up being me and Xavier and Milton in the meeting. And in that meeting, that Friday meeting on the 18th, he said all the paperwork should be arriving for you to sign so that we can make it official. And then he said, "Have you received the check yet?" Because on the 15th of July, I believe, they had announced the adoption, and then they had also given us this check. It was a big check that they took a picture of, the check, and they had done that at actually the upstage.
Was it a real check?
Lounge. No, not the big one wasn't. No,
it wasn't.
But we were waiting on the actual check to come into the mail.
Did it ever come?
Not when I was there.
So it never came.
So it didn't come when I was there. I was placed on administrative leave on the 24th of August, and so at that point, I still see online that they've adopted the school. So I'm guessing at this point, Xavier was the one who signed the adoption paperwork, so it wouldn't be my name. And then now the money has arrived.
I gotta ask this question: were y'all using Robert's Rules of Order in the board meetings?
No.
Y'all wasn't using.
No, I did a lot of correcting in board meetings of like,
So,
oh, you can't do that, you can't say
Did
that.
they know how to use Robert Rules of Order?
No.
They didn't?
No.
Rookies. Anyway, so this is a lot to unpack. But I'm going to say this. At the end of the day, you're still here.
Mm-hmm.
And what's next for you? What? Because I know it's not over. I know it's not over as far as the goals you've set, the legacy. Because, yeah, the school is your legacy. They can't take away the fact that you're the founder. They always have to recognize that you founded the school.
Correct.
When they talk about the history of the school. So you are in the archives. That's never going to change. But that chapter is over with
Correct.
that. What's the new chapter for Stephanie? Tell our viewers about the new chapter you've written that you got that you're currently writing.
Yeah, so the new chapter is one of not being the timid little black girl with no home and speaking up and out. So speaking up about things that are right and speaking out about things that are wrong. And then also, I just recently stood up a new business, thanks to you. And it's called Smart Teach Education Services. And what I do is basically everything I did in a school building.
Exactly.
I coached teachers, I coached leaders, I I advocated with parents and students. I am doing grant writing and grant research now. And so I'll be doing executive coaching, leadership coaching, teacher coaching, student advocacy, parent advocacy. I'll come in and do teacher professional developments, like whatever you can think of in a school. I've done it, been there, done that, got the t-shirt. And I'm learning because a lot of my colleagues who were also let go during that time, which was a lot of my leadership team, are all now at districts. And as they're at these districts, they're teaching me and telling me about all the things that the districts are lacking right now, that we did at SA Prep.
Okay.
And we should be really proud of ourselves. So now these are resources and tools that I can go into other schools and now do and help with. So where one man saw this as tearing me down and stealing something from me, all he did was release me to go be a blessing to everybody else.
Amen. And I don't know if you heard, they just recently closed down a lot of schools. And they're looking to repurpose a lot of these schools. Have you been in contact with anybody to kind of explore those things? Because you never know, you could possibly be in charge of one of these closed down schools. 3 of them are historically black schools that got closed down. One in particular I went to as a youngster. So I would really like to see you in the education field. I would also like to see you doing some bigger and better things on bigger TV. Not on Oprah, but But I would like to see you really doing the things that you dreamed about doing, and
Yeah.
this is not going to be the last time. What we're going to do is take one more quick break, and when we come back, we're going to close out the show with our special guest. But I want to thank everybody for tuning in. This is Bold Conversations with Walter Perry. We'll be right back to close out the show.
You know what I'm saying? Like something new. I got like nail this in like one take, yo. Great Americans. Maybe like for real. Time is wasting, but you know, I got plenty of time. But never enough time. You know? Friday, my day. I'm on the highway, 745 in the 745. Black kid, windows tint, evident King Shaheed, roll like a president. 10-car line, all street vets, and we got carbines. Y'all better respect if you're talking in line. Y'all better get wet, so you best use your mind instead of popping the tech. Architect with my intellect, surgical flow. Show my seeds how it go, so they can grow. Keep it real to myself, so they can know what they got inside their mind is worth more than dough.
Stop all this talk. Teach him a lesson.
There's gonna be some stuff you're gonna see that's gonna make it hard to smell.
You know what I'm saying? Like something new. I got like nail this in like one take, yo. Great Americans. Maybe like for real. Time is wasting, but you know, I got plenty of time. But never enough time. You know? Friday, my day. I'm on the highway, 745 in the 745. Black kid, windows tint, evident King Shaheed, roll like a president. 10-car line, all street vets, and we got carbines. Y'all better respect if you're talking in line. Y'all better get wet, so you best use your mind instead of popping the tech. Architect with my intellect, surgical flow. Show my seeds how it go, so they can grow. Keep it real to myself, so they can know what they got inside their mind is worth more than dough.
Stop all this talk. Teach him a lesson.
There's gonna be some stuff you're gonna see that's gonna make it hard to smell.
You know what I'm saying? Like something new. I got like nail this in like one take, yo. Great Americans. Maybe like for real. Time is wasted.
We want to thank y'all again for tuning in to our first episode of Bold Conversations with Walter Perry. I'm your host, Walter Perry, but before we go, we have to answer a couple questions we'd like to always answer our viewers and our commenters. And everybody just want to know, why exactly did you get fired?
Great question. August, they had allegations that they listed against me, and those allegations were mismanagement of funds, unauthorized teachers in the classroom, unauthorized access to the building, it was like a couple other things I don't recall at this time. So once the investigation was over in January, they concluded the investigation, and it was 5 conclusions. One was I opened a contract that I didn't have the board approve. One was there was a church renting the school that I didn't get approval for. And one was unauthorized teachers in the classroom without the proper credentials. And then one was my husband didn't have a background check. That was literally on the paper.
He's in the military.
He had a background check.
Like,
But
he's
anyway.
in the military.
That was one of the items on there. And then I can't remember the first one. So they tried to say that the those 5 allegations were founding. But if you go to my social media, you can also see on the paperwork where it states we did not collect all of the evidence, but we still made a conclusion. And so they made the conclusion that they didn't trust. They told the news they didn't trust me anymore, so they had to let me go. But 90% of the things on there aren't true.
So how do you plan to combat those things, to refute those things, or are you just gonna just
No, I'm not done. No.
Okay.
So I requested all of the evidence because if anybody watched my first interview, I talked about how they never showed me any evidence.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't all the evidence they compiled to say you are guilty. They didn't show me any of it. So I have seen nothing. I've not seen these contracts they say exist. I have not seen the unauthorized teachers in the classroom. I have not seen this quote unquote, you didn't do a background check on my husband and he's been there since year one. So he's had a background check since year one. Like, they haven't shown me anything. So I did a request for information from them for all of my evidence.
And
so
you just waiting on it now?
I'm just waiting on it.
Okay. So you are fighting and you're not going to give up.
No.
I really
don't want the school back, but
you just want accountability.
Yes.
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 You want accountability.
That's it.
That's what it is. People don't understand how important accountability is in life. People think it's all about the material things. And I know, one, you've already said it 3 times you didn't want to do it. And then you you didn't reluctantly, you went ahead and did it anyway.
Yeah.
And then,
on.
right.
10 toes down, 10 fingers down.
That's a lot of responsibility. But I think the biggest responsibility is doing the right thing. And I think that's not what the board did in your situation. I don't think they did the right thing. And hearing you and just hearing the whole situation, I feel like they should have embraced you. They should have mentored you more, and they should have showed you the right way, so that way you could have got it right. For God's sake, you're a black woman who founded a school, and this is not how it's supposed to end up. And I just want to let our viewers know out here that if you have a dream out here, keep going. Don't let nobody stop you. Looking at Stephanie and seeing and hearing her story, you can imagine all that she went through. But at the same time, she's still here. She's still fighting. She's willing to invest in the community. So we need to embrace her. We need to support her. And we need to support people in our community who are like this. My name is Walter Perry. I'm with Bold Conversations. I'd like to thank my special guest tonight, Stephanie Hall Furman. And we want to tell you guys good night. God bless. Suit up.
I got like nail this in like one take, yo. Great Americans. Maybe like for real. Time is wasting, but I got plenty of time. But never enough time. You know? Friday, my day. I'm on the highway, 745 in the 745. Black kid, windows tint, evident King Shaheed, roll like a president. 10-car line, all street vets, and we got carbines. Y'all better respect if you're talking in line. Y'all better get wet, so you best use your mind instead of popping the tech. Architect with my intellect, surgical flow. Show my seeds how it go, so they can grow. Keep it real to myself, so they can know what they got inside their mind is worth more than dough.